Hey everybody, today I wanted to show you something that is super useful. I'm going to be developing some models within Blender, and moving them over to Unreal has gotten very easy with the Blender add-ons developed by Epic Games. So let me just show you exactly how this works. So here you see I have two different models here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this object. I'm going to move this over. Actually, instead of moving it over this way, I am going to move it, say, over here. Okay. Then I'll go into modeling mode. Actually, I don't even need to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename it. Actually, maybe I'll just go ahead and leave the renaming, the automatic renaming. Yeah, because then I can just have different variations. So if I go into modeling mode, I'm going to go to frame all or frame selected, and I'm just going to modify this model slightly. So what I'm going to do is hit I for inset, and I'm going to inset the border just a little bit like this. And then I am going to hit, let's see, E for extrude, and on the Z axis, I'm just going to go down just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of definition. Okay, so now that that's good, I'm going to go to UV editing, do select all, and I think we're good like that. Yeah. So now that I have this, I really want to get this into Unreal Engine as quickly as possible so that I can start using it. So by installing the SendToUnreal add-on, I'm going to provide you a link to the webpage that Unreal has. Gives you all the instructions on how to install the add-on into Blender, as well as installing it into Unreal Engine so that they can communicate with each other. But all that you do is you select your object, you go to pipeline, export, and then either choose Send Unreal or Advanced Dialog. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is if you want your object to be centered correctly, you have to check Use Object Origin. Because if you don't check that, it's going to use the world origin for your object. And when you import the mesh, the origin, the pivot of the object is going to be off. And so your 3D cursor is going to look strange. So now that I have this selected, I'm just going to choose OK. When that happened, you're going to see that this is the background of my message log for Unreal Engine. It's got some errors in there. None of these are like serious though. What I'm going to do is I come over here, and now you see here was my original mesh, and here is the mesh. Let me double click this. Here is the mesh that I just created, and just like that, I've got this right in Unreal Engine, and I can use it immediately. So if I drag this, if I go back to the content browser, I can drag it into my scene. Let me show you. Flip over here. So here is my scene. Here is the object that I just created. A couple other things I wanted to show you guys is that when you're in Blender, if you look at, the pipeline, if you go to Export Advanced Dialog, you're going to see this section here called Paths. And this mesh folder, this is the location of where your meshes are going to be placed when they get imported. So right now the default is untitled category, untitled asset. So if we switch over to the Unreal dialog, you're going to see that here's our folder, untitled category, untitled asset. And so one of the things I wanted to show you is on the right over here, I created a subfolder called floors, and it's under the main folder called meshes. So by doing this, I moved my floor meshes into this subdirectory. I'm going to go ahead and change the advanced dialog. I'm going to leave, let me just change this. Right here, I think what I'm going to do is just call this meshes. And then what I'm going to do is turn this on, and we're going to see what this does. So say OK. It imported into Unreal. And now let's go back here. And we should see, well, what should we see? What it did was it created this called meshes floors, which is interesting that it doesn't put a subfolder in there. Interesting. I'm surprised that it didn't do a subfolder. Let's go back to this again. Maybe, yeah, it's just because I didn't have the ending slash on the end of that. Okay. So yeah, so you need to have that backward slash or a forward slash on the end of your meshes folder. Okay, yeah, that was what they did. All right, so now let's try this. Okay, so we import it again. I go back to the content browser, and now let me delete this one. So this is if you don't have the slash, but now we have meshes and floors. So again, a really nice way so you can start organizing your organizing all of your meshes into separate folders here. The really nice part about this is that you can have one Blender file, like I have here, to organize a whole bunch of your meshes. And you can also keep them separated like I have here. So using that, using that option for in the advanced dialog for the right here, using the object origin, that way you can have all of your objects get their pivot or their mesh origin centered correctly, but inside your Blender file you can have them, you know, separated so that you can actually see all the different items you have. And now we have a way to organize them into separate folders, which is really nice. So it's that simple. Go check out this plugin if you're doing any appreciable amount of work between Blender and Unreal Engine. This is a huge lifesaver. So thanks, Epic Games, and I will talk to you guys later.